I am skeptical about.
Come on.
I haven't said anything about this. I'll give it to you. This just could be based on a faulty intuition about ballistics, but I'm surprised that a rifle round making any degree of contact with an ear wouldn't do more damage. I think a shattered piece of shrapnel from a teleprompter is far more likely to have done that to it.
Bill Maher had another heated exchange on his Club Random podcast, bringing on a guest who made some wild woke statements about Donald Trump and the right wing. Honestly, things are getting out of control. It seems like Trump winning the 2024 election has completely messed with the woke left's mindset. Even though Bill Marleen's left himself, he's not nearly as extreme as some of these people. In this episode, he completely shuts down his guest for the over-the-top and ridiculous claims being made. Let's check out this clip where Bill Maher calls out the nonsense and puts things into perspective.
Easier than a rifle round.
That's so silly.
Have you seen what rifle rounds do to human bodies?
I know, but like, if it just hit it by the slightest possible degree, it just, it makes much more sense. The guy behind
Well, no, but I do. No, there's no question there were rifle rounds flying. Someone was killed. I'm not debating that at all.
If you're liking this kind of content, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot.
If, in fact, a teleprompter was hit by the rifle round and we know there was shattered glass, that makes more sense to me.
That he didn't get hit at all. It was the teleprompter.
He got hit by flying glass as opposed to a rifle round.
But that doesn't change the basic narration.
No, zero change.
No, I completely agree that it could be that McLovin just missed him completely.
McLovin?
That's what I call him. And shot the other guy. And he got hit by
Yes. No, that does not take anything away from him having survived a legit assassination attempt.
Right.
I'm not disputing that.
And by the way, thank God he did. Not just because even for people we don't like, we should not wish their death, but it's a bad place for your mind to be, I think. But also because the country would just have gone nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, we would be in the middle of a civil war now.
Well, so I think we sort of nodded toward this truth, but I'll just make it explicit. I do think that one of the silver linings of him having won this election and having won it decisively is that it has discharged all of that pent-up rage and conspiracy thinking. I mean, in Trumpistan,
is it?
Well, they've gotten everything.
Yeah.
Right. So now they've got 4 years.
No, they believe in elections again.
Yeah. So our election system works, right? Apparently, and the elites couldn't keep the man down.
But again,
and there's no conspiracy. The Jews didn't do the thing that we're worried about.
But again, and I don't think you're going to disagree with this. We didn't cure the cancer. We just pushed it further.
Well, but I think it's different. But the counterfactual is scary. I mean, so a Harris administration with all of these right-wing QAnon-addled nutcases thinking that the fix was in and the elections don't mean anything, and all of that's bad from my point of view. So the fact that half of the electorate is that crazy is, I do think they've been mollified, and then now they get to see what it's like to govern with all of the tech bros they love, and we'll see what happens.
Well, I don't know what will happen with that. I do know what will happen with the next election, which is why, as much as we're living in a wonderful time now, where America's great again.
You can really see how Bill Maher has to step in and push back a little, like, hold on, let's not go completely off the rails here. It's almost like he's saying, let's have some common sense in this conversation. And you can tell the other guy tones it down right away because he knows he's about to go too far. That's exactly what happened there. What blows my mind about all of this is how so many other left-wing shows handle things, especially when it comes to something as serious as the assassination attempts on Donald Trump. There's no moment of reflection like, hey, maybe we need to tone down the rhetoric. Maybe we're contributing to this kind of extremist behavior. Instead, it's always skepticism, conspiracy theories, or even justifying the violence. For example, instead of acknowledging how insane it is that a sitting president or former president was nearly assassinated on live TV, they focus on irrelevant details. Oh, was it a bullet? Was it teleprompter glass? Did it graze his ear or not? Like, who cares? The man almost got assassinated. That's the real story. But they'll talk about anything except the seriousness of the situation. What's even crazier is when people outright dismiss it or laugh about it. They never say, maybe we went too far. Maybe our words are fueling this. It's like that thought never even crosses their minds. They'll double down on their narratives instead of stepping back and asking if their rhetoric is part of the problem. And then there's this moment where the guest on Bill Maher's show backtracks completely when Bill pushes back. You could see he was about to launch into some unhinged rant, but Bill reeled him in, and suddenly he's like, oh yeah, it was a real assassination attempt. It's almost funny how quickly he changes his tone when he realizes he's losing the argument. It's wild how these conversations always end up spiraling into something completely detached from the actual issue. The focus should be on the fact that an assassination attempt even happened, not on trying to nitpick irrelevant details. It's just frustrating to see.
Whatever the next election is, if the Democrat wins it, they're just going to be ever more suspicious. And it's just going to be, we're putting off this day where...
If you enjoy content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Where something has to give with the people who don't believe in elections unless we win them.
No, but
that's intolerable.
Why would you say that if this time we, the mustache twirling plutocrats, couldn't fix the election?
You're thinking too...
Elections work.
You're thinking so logically. That's Sam. This is not how
he
they
won
think.
Everything. He ran the table.
Yes, because there was no cheating. But if he had lost, there would have been cheating.
No,
you have it backwards.
Absolutely, but we've proven that you could have a fair election in the year 2024.
You're living in the world where you're encountering people like you. Right. And that's not the world we live in.
All right. Well,
that's not
I'm a bad judge of character.
You are. That is not going to happen. What's going to happen is the next time a Democrat wins, there's going to be...
It was rigged, yeah.
Shitstorm. And I don't know how that ends.
If you're liking this kind of content, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot. Now let's jump back into the video.
And it depends also on who is in positions of power that are being put there now. I mean, I did an editorial once about power begets power. The more power you have, the more power you get. So now
what are you worried about, and what are you agnostic about, and what are you hopeful about?
I'm worried about that now that they have a lot of power controlling all the levers, they do what all countries do, where the people who want to stay in power forever put the people in place who are just the total loyalists. That's the courts.
But are you worried that we're not going to have a valid 2028 election because he's going to run for a third term or something?
It doesn't really. That's. I mean, he could, and that would be awful. I don't know. It's a very sort of Prince Charles situation, like where Don Jr. is like, "Mom, would you please die, Queen Elizabeth?" So how old was Prince Charles when he finally got it? Right. And Don Jr. is kind of be chomping at the bit. But we are heading toward that, where like North Korea and the Assad regime and many other places in the world, that they have elections, wink, wink, but really it's just the scion of the ruling family that takes over. And of course, their fans love this. So, I think J.D. Vance is just a placeholder for Don Jr. I think the fact that they look alike makes it easier. They just put Don Jr. in there and they tell them it's the same guy.
So you think Trumpism continues without Trump?
Absolutely.
Look, I completely disagree, but I know this is one of those topics we'll never see eye to eye on. Election reform absolutely needs to be a top priority. I've been saying this since the night Donald Trump won. It's ridiculous how some states can count nearly all their votes within an hour after polls close, like Florida, while places like California, Nevada, and Arizona are still counting votes 2 weeks later. It's insane, and it shouldn't be happening. How is it that one state can finish so quickly while others drag it out for weeks? And I'm not even talking about the smaller down-ballot races. Those sometimes take months. That's just unacceptable. and it doesn't inspire confidence in the system. We need election reform across the board, no matter who wins. It's not about the result. It's about making sure the process is fair and transparent. Anytime something as big as a presidential election happens, there's bound to be shady stuff going on somewhere. It's just too important not to have people trying to manipulate it. So yeah, fixing how elections are run needs to be a priority, day one. It's not about favoring one side or the other. It's about making sure everyone can trust the results. And let's be honest, when you see weird delays and inconsistencies happening over and over again, and it's mostly in blue states, how are we not supposed to think that's odd? Meanwhile, red states are done counting practically before you finish dinner. But if you point it out, suddenly you're a conspiracy theorist, or you're trying to overthrow democracy. It's not about that. It's just common sense to question why this happens in 2025 when we have the technology to do better. Now, as for Bill Maher, I'll give him some credit here. At least in this clip, he shut down the guest when they started going completely off the rails with some dangerous, ridiculous statements. Even though Bill still has his moments where he lets his bias slip, it's refreshing to see him step in and call out nonsense when it's too much, even from someone on his own side. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Should election reform be a top priority, or do you think the system is fine the way it is? And what about Bill Maher in this clip? Did he handle it well, or could he have done better? Let me know your thoughts below.